Kamla ji, we will wait for 2 more minutes and we'll start at 2:30 sharp.
Please, you take your time. And am I visible? Okay. Am I visible?
Yeah,
yes, ma'am, you are visible, ma'am.
You are visible.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Participants, kindly mute your microphone. Manimehalai, ma'am.
Yes, we can start.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, one and all. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for this 1-month gender sensitization and capacity building program on gender, society, economy and polity, organized by Department of Women Studies, Bharathidasan University, Center for Women Studies and National Service Scheme of Cauvery College for Women and Regional Association for Women Studies, ROS. I welcome you all. May I now request Dr. N. Manimehalai, Dean, Faculty of Arts, Director and Head, Department of Women Studies, Bharathidasan University, to welcome and to introduce our today's resource person. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Neela, for your continuous support from Cauvery College for conducting this 1-month-long program. And we have with us an eminent scholar, Madam Kamla Bashin, present here. It is a rare opportunity to listen to her. And I've been interacting her through her contributions, whether it is poems or books, whatever. I'm audible, Neela? Yeah.
You're audible,
so we have this 1-month-long program. I think some of you are yet to put your microphone on mute. Participants, please. Zisila Paladi, who is thank you.
Muted.
I take this opportunity to introduce briefly, and we'll listen to Kamlaji shortly. And this is a 1-month program where we have been hearing from various resource persons drawn from across the country, and this has been organized as per the direction of UGC to hold gender sensitization program, capacity building program, etc. And Ms. Kamla Bashin is an Indian development feminist activist, poet, author, and social scientist. And her work began in 1970, focusing very much on gender, education, human development. You can see doing feminism through her, and it is not just a contribution towards theory, but also through community action. And it is not simply talking, but doing other things also, including making noise, dancing, singing, etc., etc. So, a versatile personality is here as a role model for us. And being she is a social scientist by training, and she has been actively engaged with the issues related to development, education, gender, media, and several others for over 40 years. In fact, if you could browse in, you will be able to see the multiple contributions or areas in which she has been contributing. She began her work for the empowerment of the rural and urban poor in 1972 with a voluntary organization in Rajasthan, India. And from 1976 to 2001, she worked with the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. And he worked with the FOS Freedom from Hunger campaign. Public action for development was focused on supporting innovative NGO initiatives for development and empowerment of marginalized people, especially women in the Southeast Asia and South Asia. It is inevitable that in the development organizations, the non-government organizations are the third pillar of this society for the past 40 years or so, and Madam has rightly made a choice to work with that, leaving her work there in FAO. And this entailed organizing trainings and workshops and facilitating networking between NGOs, women's organizations, and people's organizations. And in fact, working through these organizations, you will learn from the people, and that is what Kamlaji has been doing. Currently, she works with Sangat, a South Asian feminist network, as an advisor, and with Jagori, Women's Resource Training Center, New Delhi, and Jagori Gramin in Himachal Pradesh as an active member. She is also the co-chair of the Worldwide Women across the globe and South Asia coordinator of the 1 billion rising. And I recall now how we have been involved here in both Bharathidasan University and Cauvery College in this campaign on 1 billion rising, drawing thousands of students involving in rally continuously. Thanks to Ekta also, who have been instrumental here. Of course, Kamla visited Ekta Madurai, and in fact, some of the contributions have also been translated in Tamil, particularly the Understanding Gender. That book has been translated in Tamil, and that book is the first reader for MA Women's Studies and Gender Studies students of Bharathidasan University. So, Understanding Gender, that is in Tamil book. We just give that as a textbook for our students first and primary reading. And being deeply engaged with issues related to gender, development, peace, identity politics, militarization, human rights, and democracy, she has explored and continued to articulate connections between different issues and to promote synergies between different movements. Some of her way back from 1980 onwards has been publishing. So, What is Patriarchy? Is a very well-read book on patriarchy, published in 93. Understanding Gender, 2000, translated by Ekta, I already told, here in Tamil. Borders and Boundaries of Women and Partition, 1994. And Exploring Masculinities, again a well-read book, 2004. Malu and Balu. She is also equally book writes on children, and that is very much there. She is a poet, I already told, and she sings also. I hopefully expect Kamlaji to sing here also at least some lyrics, and some questions on feminism and its relevance in South Asia. That is in 1986 itself she brought that question. So there is a debate how Western feminism is applicable here in the Indian condition, whether we have to have our own feminism. So she believes in the form of advocacy, which combines feminist theory with community action, as I already told, and attacks capitalist patriarchy, where capitalism serves as an agency of patriarchy. Religion is often used as a shield to justify patriarchy, and there is a need for cultural revolution, she asserts. So such an eminent scholar is a speaker today, and I welcome her on all our behalf and leave it to her to interact. Kamlaji, welcome, please.
Thank you. Vanakkam. Long live the Indian Constitution, friends. I am most grateful to the 4 organizations and to Mani, my friend. We have been working together in the Indian Association of Women's Studies for many years. I'm thankful to all of them for inviting me to your month-long program. Mani called me a scholar. I am not a scholar. And I think earlier, when writing about me, they had written Dr. Kamla Bashin. So I told them, I am not a doctor. I am just Kamla. And actually quite happy to be just Kamla. As two of the I must tell you in the beginning that I'm not used to talking to a blank space. I'm used to talking to people who I'm looking at. So I hope I'll manage without looking at your eyes, without getting any reactions from you, without knowing whether you are liking it or not liking it. So please understand that this is a new way of functioning. And I'm a face-to-face person. And Mani told you, I make a lot of noise. I do. I do make a lot of noise. I shout slogans. I sing songs. I do all that. As two of the organizations today are related to women's studies, I want to say 2 or 3 statements about women's studies. And those of you who are part of women's studies, I wonder whether you would agree with me. My first statement is that according to me, women's studies are the daughters of the women's movement. If there was no women's movement, I do not think there would have been women's studies. Secondly, my belief is that women's studies cannot be, should not be, only to get a certificate or a degree and a job. For me, the purpose of women's studies, actually, according to me, the purpose of all studies should be this, but women's studies, Dalit studies, race studies particularly should be societal change, movement towards equality of men and women, and movement towards caste, class, race, sexual choices, etc., equality. If people who are doing women's studies are not working for change, I think it is sad and pathetic and not the purpose of women's studies. You know, friends, as Mani told you, in 1972, which is 48 years ago, I joined an NGO, and they were doing literacy work, which I didn't do. But I wrote 3 slogans about what I understand by literacy. And I think maybe these 3 slogans, even after 48 years, are perhaps relevant to women's studies. Slogans are very simple. I'm learning how to read so that I can read the world. Not read the word. Read the world. मैं पढ़ना सीख रही हूँ ताकि जिंदगी को पढ़ सकूं. I'm learning how to write so that I can write my own destiny. And I'm learning how to count so that I can keep an account also of my rights. The whole society is telling me about my duties. I'm learning how to count so that I can keep an account of both my responsibilities, but also my rights. And maybe some of you know that I've written one of the few poems I have written in English also. Normally my poems and songs are all in Hindi, Urdu. A poem in English called Because I'm a Girl, I Want to Study. In that, what it says, I think, is the definition for me of women's studies. So, and you can Google that. There are some people like Preeti Sarma and all who are putting their videos right into my face, and that is very disturbing. I mean, my whole screen jumps up with them lying in bed, etc. So I'm requesting them, kindly help me because I'm not used to this. Please help me and try not to do this. Thank you. So that poem, you can Google if you want to read it. And if you want to hear it in English, you can go on my YouTube channel. It's called Kamla Bashin Official. And you can hear that poem and then see if you agree with my definition of women's studies. So friends, I will now move on to talking about the topic today, which is gender, patriarchy, and men. Why men? Because most of the time we think gender has to do with women and girls. And we don't talk about boys and men. So today, I will focus on talking about gender, patriarchy, and men. But after that, I will also talk about feminism, because I don't want to talk only about the problem. My purpose to talk anywhere, not just this talk, is to understand the problem and to say, how am I going to challenge and change that? So this is why I'm talking of gender and patriarchy, how to challenge it. But friends, I believe that patriarchy, caste, class, race, heteronormativity are viruses. And of course, I'm talking of a virus because we are in COVID-19 time. So you know all what I'm talking about. So I feel that these systems of inequality are viruses. Corona has killed about 500,000 plus people all over the world. How many? 500,000. And we are in lockdown, and country after country is trying to find a vaccination. 2 weeks ago, UNFPA came out with a report on population and said 140 million women and girls are missing in the world. And the word missing means they have been killed or allowed to die. How many? 140 million. Out of these 140 million, India and China are responsible for 80%. China has done away with 72 million women and girls. And my great country, worshipping goddesses everywhere, 46 million. 46 million. Which country is looking for a vaccine against patriarchy? Is there anyone who is in lockdown because of this crime? No. So friends, this is why, and when I talk, please keep thinking of your own life in terms of gender. Don't just look at this gender as something outside you and me. The virus of gender has infected each one of us. Nobody is free of this virus called gender and free of this virus called patriarchy. So each one of us has to work on ourselves. And friends, I'm saying something, please listen to it carefully and fight with me later. I believe middle class and upper middle class women and men are much more infected by gender and patriarchy, much more than tribal girls and women and men, much more than working class women and men. And we are the ones who spread this virus to other people. Okay, now I start about gender, and I'm sure all of you know it, but this is what we thought we will do. So what is gender? You know, I started working on women's issues in 1972, but it was only in 1988 that I heard this concept and I learned it. So it is a new concept. Before this, I did not know and the world did not know. So even today, most of us who think we know what is gender actually don't know it. Because the word is an old word. The word gender we learnt in school, but in grammar, where we talked of feminine gender, masculine gender, neuter gender. In Hindi, we learnt about Strilinga, Pullinga, and Napunsakling. So we think it is the same word and we then think this is what it is, but it is the same word but with a different meaning. Now, before I come to gender, I want to tell you that each human being has two identities. We have our biological identity, and I'll talk about that now, and that is called sex. Sex is our biological identity. And as soon as we are born, our families look at our genitalia and say, oh, everybody come on, let us be happy, a son is born. They see a penis and they celebrate. Oh, sorry, madam, this is a girl. And sometimes, in very rare cases, they may say, oh, it is an intersex child, neither male nor female. So my brothers are males and I am female. There is only a minor difference between their body and my body. 95% of their body or more is exactly like mine. 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, same heart, same lungs, brain, everything. The only difference nature has made between my brothers and me is for reproduction. The only difference nature has made between male and female is for reproduction, no other difference. And for reproduction, we have to cooperate. So we have been made different so that we cooperate, collaborate, and take the world forward. Not that one of us beats the other, not for that reason. So as far as nature is concerned, she has made us different only for reproduction. She has given us this definition, nature. That's why it's not easy to change sex. It is today, because of science and surgeries and hormones, it is possible to change sex, but a very tough way. Gender is totally different. What is gender? Gender is not my body. Gender is this dupatta, which my society says I have to use to cover my breasts because my breasts should not be visible. Gender is the things women wear in their ears. Gender is the way we keep our hair. Gender is all the cosmetics we are expected to use. That is gender. Nothing to do with my body. This dupatta did not come with me from my mother's womb. This was imposed on me and I can keep it aside. It will not make a damn difference to me. So gender is the way society defines a girl and a boy. And only related to the genitalia, and says you are a girl and you are a boy. And gender decides just about everything about us. How we will stand, my body language will be decided by gender. How I will talk, how I will smile. Will I laugh loudly? Can I sing on the road? At what time can I come back and what time will my brother come back? Who will get the family property? Who will be sent abroad for education and who will be told, no, time for you to get married? Gender defines my profession. It defines my dreams. It defines my rights, my responsibilities, my work. There's nothing which gender does not define. Friends, a feminist scholar said that gender is actually a performance. It teaches each of one of us. It teaches the man how to perform gender. And it teaches a woman. This is a natak, drama. So when I'm going out somewhere, I do this drama of becoming a woman. Dressing up like a woman. At home, I'm just roaming around in my nightie. But when I'm leaving, then I become that perfect feminine. And the same with men. At home, they're roaming around in their lungis, and then they have to go out somewhere and they become these British trained, even if they've never been to Britain, with their trousers and a leather belt and a tie, and then they have become this performance. So gender is a performance. Because it is unnatural, because it is taught, it has to be taught every day. Every day you have to tell people, hey, this is wrong. You are a boy, you can't do this. Friends, actually, and gender is different. It can be different from family to family. It can be different in North India and in South India, where most of you are from. In North India, gender is, according to me, and patriarchy are much worse. In South India, according to my understanding, gender is less harmful, less terrible. That's what I feel. But now we are all becoming global because of capitalist patriarchy, and we are all becoming images of each other. Gender, friends, is about power, basically. This is my most important point. Basically, gender is about power. Like caste basically is about power, class and race are about power. Gender gives more power to boys and men and takes away the power with which we are born from girls and women. Next point, friends, please notice nature creates difference. Male, female, black, white, brown, tall, short, elephant, mouse. Nature makes diversity. But nature never says, this thing is superior. Nature has never said men are superior to women. The white people are superior to blacks. The North Indians are superior to South Indians. The taller man is superior to the shorter man. Nature has never said that an elephant is superior to a mouse. Nature says each one of us in the world has our place. Nature creates difference, not hierarchy and not inequality. It is society which creates hierarchies and inequalities. And that is what gender does. All inequalities, according to me, are created by society, not by nature. Okay? Why did women's studies people think that we need the concept of gender? Why was this concept created? And why has it become so popular in the last 30 years? Today, the World Bank is using it. All our governments who don't know what it means are only talking of gender, 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 and defining it wrongly often. What is the contribution of this concept of gender? According to me, the main contribution is to separate biology and society. And I'll give you an example to explain this. I was 5 years old and I learned from some friend how to whistle. And I came home very happy. I had learned how to whistle with my lips. And my mother came from inside shouting at me, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, she said, "You are a girl. You are a girl, you cannot whistle." I kept quiet. After 6 months, I came back again from outside and I was whistling. But now whistling really loudly, like this. And now my mother freaked out. She said, "You are a girl, you cannot whistle." But I said, "Amma, I can whistle, you can see. I can whistle, what do you mean?" Now, I did not have the concept of gender where I could ask my Amma, "Amma, is it because of sex that I cannot whistle? Or is it because of gender? Your rule, gender." It's not because of sex, because if my brother whistled with his penis, then I cannot whistle. But he does not whistle with his penis. He whistles with his fingers. I have fingers and a mouth. I can do it. If I cook with my uterus, then my husband can't cook. Poor fellow has no uterus. But I cook with my hands. And he jolly well has hands. And he can cook. And he can clean the shit of the child. And he can clean the urine of the baby, because it's not done with our breasts and our vaginas. It is done with our hands, and men jolly well have hands. So this has been brought to separate biology and socio-cultural norms. And we believe biology has not created any inequality. I, as a feminist, as a 74-year-old woman, am very proud of my body. And I'm grateful to Mother Nature for giving me my body, that I could procreate, that I could breastfeed. Nothing more beautiful and more creative than this, if we want to do it. Just because I have a uterus doesn't mean I should produce children. It's my choice, it's my body. But if I want to, it's something very beautiful. And I find that it is really sad that all the men I can see, you have these imperfect bodies, without a uterus and without breasts. I mean, pretty terrible bodies you have. So you better pray to some God who can next time make you a woman and give you a perfect body like ours, huh? Okay. So I, as a feminist, have no complaint against nature. I salute Mother Nature being a woman. My only complaint is against gender and against society. That is why we only talk of gender equality. We don't talk of sex equality. We don't talk of biological equality. We talk of gender equality. Meaning, a society, you don't make us unequal. And now we know. And friends, there is only one thing a normal man can do, which no woman in the world can do. One thing. Think about the answer. Only one thing. And that is impregnate another woman. There is nothing else a man can do, no woman can do. And there are only two things, double, which a woman can do. No man can do. Even Mr. Trump cannot do. Two things. Have a baby in their womb and breastfeed. No man. The Buddha couldn't do it. Jesus couldn't do it. So we are fighting only gender. Okay. I move on, friends. And the best thing is that gender is socially created. So if we all decide today that gender is the problem, we can start changing it today. We don't have to wait for anyone. We don't need Government of India permission or a ration card to start changing gender. Today, all the men, especially men who are listening to me, after my talk can go and make a nice cup of tea or a coffee and give it to his wife, who will probably fall down and say, what's wrong with him? What happened to him today? Making tea and coffee for me. I come to the next topic called patriarchy. And I come through gender. So my next question is, why does society create gender? And my answer is, for the same reason for which it creates caste. Why does it create caste? Class, race, same reason. What is it? Control over resources, exploitation, colonization. Please mark the word colonization. All these hierarchical systems are created for colonization. A German feminist said 30 years ago that women are the last colony. All the other colonies have been liberated. Women are the last colony. Most men have a colony at home. They can exploit her body, her sex, her work, her labor. So women are the last colony. And now, of course, we also want to be liberated. And we've been doing it, fighting it. And we will get there. I believe that gender was created only for one reason: to implement patriarchy. If there was no patriarchy, we will not need gender. If there was no caste system, you will not have to teach a Brahmin boy how to behave and a Dalit boy how to behave. So the real problem is not gender at all. The virus is patriarchy, gender is the fever which comes with the virus. You remove the virus, the fever will go. All right? So patriarchy is the problem. Now, what is patriarchy? a global social patriarchy is all over the world. And that's why some of us think maybe it is God-made. Not at all. If power is global, it doesn't mean it's God-made. It's made by us human beings. So what is patriarchy? Again, it is an old word. Patriarchy. Pitri Tantro. Pidarshahi in Urdu. Fathers rule. Patriarchy. But it does not mean that today. Today it means rule of men. It means Purush Tantro. Because it is not only within the family that there is patriarchy. Patriarchy is in the temple. It is on the road. It is in the parliament. It is in the corporate office where women are shouting, me too, me too. It is in the university. So today it is not, the meaning is not patri, but man, andros, purush. That's what it means. Rule of men, domination of men. I define patriarchy in 3 parts. 1, it is the social system. So my poor mother, who told me not to whistle, was not a bad woman. She did not create this rule for me. She herself was part of a system. So she was only implementing that system. So all the men who behave in a certain way, because patriarchy has told them, are not terrible people at all. They are part of the system. And all the women who follow patriarchy, we are all part of the system. We are all drinking the poison of patriarchy. So we all behave like zombies, patriarchal zombies, men and women and girls and boys. So it is a social system. Second part of the definition. In this system, men and boys are considered to be superior. No question, no logic, no science. Just as in a caste system, Brahmins are superior. Who says? Brahmins say. They were born from the head of Brahma. Every day you see children coming from the heads of men, no? Is it normal you see every day, no? All of you came from your father's heads. I wish you did. You came from the dirty menstrual blood of women. You can call it dirty, but all of you have it in your bodies. So if our blood is dirty, then each one of us in the world, including the Pope, everybody is dirty, because without our blood, you can't come from anywhere. Not possible. So, by definition, men are superior. And third, in patriarchy, men have more control over resources, decision-making, and ideology. They decide how we will think. They make the laws. They make the religious laws. They make laws in the parliament. And then they are the judges. As I said already, patriarchy is a global system. And like all social systems, it is in 2 parts. One is the structure. Structure is what you can see. Who is the head of the family? Who owns the property? Who has big bank accounts? Who eats first? Who can give orders? All over, in every system. You can see structure, control over resources, decision-making, etc. But it is also ideology, the way we think. And this ideology is put into our soft, hard disk, soft disks. This is put into our soft disk. And so I am born and I am taught and I believe my brother is superior. So I quietly wash his dirty clothes. I quietly give him food first. I quietly follow his orders. Everything around me, ideology. So religion tells me he is superior. Hindi films tell me he is superior. Hindi films decide what a boy will look like, how he will behave and how he will dance and how he will harass girls and women on the road and everywhere else, singing songs and all that kind of stuff. Ideology is in every festival, at least in the north. I don't know about southern festivals too much. So like tomorrow is Raksha Bandhan. The brothers will stand there with their hands and we women will tie a rakhi and we will request them to please protect us. Even when the fact is that the sister is educating him, the sister is looking after him, he will not tie a rakhi to her and say, thank you, sister. You've been protecting me. You've been looking after me for decades. He won't. She. And this is, for example, if I'm a working woman and I earn. On Rakhi, I will be told, listen, you might be teaching in this university and you might be a professor, but don't forget your real place. You will beg your brother for protection. So every 2 months, a festival comes and tells us our real place so that we don't forget it. So this is ideology. Okay. Women are equally patriarchal. It is not that only men are patriarchal. Sometimes women are more patriarchal than men. Why? Because we are less educated. We are less exposed to the world. We don't watch Google so many times and we don't watch film so many times. Men are exposed to, so sometimes. And if we look historically, it were men who challenged inequality, like a man like Buddha. 2,500 years ago, he allowed women to join the Sangha. 1,400 years ago, Prophet Muhammad gave women the rights which no other religion had given. In Islam, marriage is a contract. A woman has to sign that contract. And in that contract, she can say what will be the conditions of marriage, what will be the conditions of divorce. In a region when women could be buried alive, he gave them all kinds of rights. Right to property, right to education. Similarly, in the South, you will find so many men. So, patriarchy, women can believe it and men can be against it. So, it is nothing biological. Equality is in your head, not in your body. All men are not unequal and all women are not equal. And the sad part is that patriarchy is the strongest in the family. And family is the primary school of patriarchy. You know, I expect a family to be a place of love, equality, justice. Please have a look at all the families we live in and see, does equality exist anywhere? Does justice exist anywhere? And people say, don't go out of your family, you are unsafe. You look at all the statistics and you will find that the most dangerous place for a girl and a woman is her family. That is where we kill them in their womb. That is where we burn them for dowry. That is where we deprive them of good food, good education, good health care. That is where we deprive them of parental property. Not only is the family the primary school of patriarchy, women are the teachers of patriarchy. So we dig our own, dig our own, whatever.
Grave.
So, grave, thank you. English language, difficult language for me. I am not knowing English very well. So, grave. So, friends, this is what it is. And now I'm just coming to boys and men. I believe just as girls are put into a gender box, boys are put into a gender box. Sometimes the gender box for a boy is tighter. Like, you go out and you see that girls are wearing salwar kameez, even in South India, they are wearing sari. They are wearing trousers, jeans. But what about men? Boring men. Only wearing their trousers and shirts. I mean the most, and colorless. I mean, Dr. Gopal Singh in his grey thing, look at me. Colorful kameez, colorful salwar, and even this sociology lover. I mean, come on, colorless fellows. You can't wear colors. You can't wear multiple clothes. You're not even allowed to cry. You've lost your most favorite toy. You can't cry because you are a boy. And you are just born. You don't even know what you want to do, but your father says, no, I am an engineer, you will become an engineer. Already at 5, your life is written because you are a boy. What is your mistake? Your mistake is you have a penis. So, because of that, you have to be an engineer. You cannot become Rabindranath Tagore. You cannot become a singer. You become a bloody boring engineer and earn money. Breadwinner. So just as girls are pushed into boxes, you will do this, 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 boys are pushed. But boys are also, because they have to be taught to be strong, they are taught to be violent, to be aggressive, to fight. If a boy comes home crying and say, oh, my friend beat me, the father will give him one more slap and say, what? You didn't beat him back? No, Papa, I don't like to fight with boys. I don't like to fight with anyone. No, no. You are a boy. You have to fight. He doesn't like. He wants to love. He wants to talk. He wants to dialogue. No, you can't. So, friends, boys also face much more violence in patriarchy. At home, parents use much more corporal punishment for boys. In schools, teachers use more corporal punishment for boys. When there used to be ragging, boys could die because of ragging. Such violent ragging used to take place. So, also sexual violence, boys don't talk about it. You have still not broken your silence. But today, statistics is telling us that little boys, older boys, gentle boys are sexually abused in monasteries, in madrasas, in boarding schools. Those little boys who are child labor, working with a taxi driver, working with a tech driver, working in a dhaba, restaurant, their sexual abuse is rampant. And friends, if I look at gender or life spiritually, then I feel men are much more worse off than women in patriarchy. You know, men are only 50% of the population, but in India, 90% of the members of parliament are men. 95% Supreme Court judges have been men, High Court judges have been men. Globally, 10 to 14% women are in the top positions in the corporate world. You are only 50%, but you are sitting on most of the positions in the world. But have you looked at the other side of the story? You are only 50%, but 100% rapists are men. All men are not rapists, but all rapists are men. That 99% of suicide bombers are men. 99% of the terrorists are men. Criminals, drug addicts, alcoholics, the people who lynch minorities and who lynch Dalits, the people who lynch black people in America. Have you heard that women are doing it? What has happened to you? What has society done to you? And friends, as a woman, I can be raped, yes. But I don't rape myself. I'm not to be blamed. The rapist rapes. I don't rape. If my husband beats me, I'm a victim. He is the criminal. So I believe patriarchy is criminalizing men and boys, dehumanizing you. And there is nothing for you to celebrate in patriarchy. And now that you have women friends in your universities doing MAs and PhDs with you, they are not going to marry men who are violent, who are aggressive, who cannot cook. And they should not marry men who are like that. We are not looking for Pati Parameshwars anymore. We are looking for life partners. Life partners. And very few men are taught how to be a partner. They are taught how to be a lord and master. So your time is up. If you want to have women friends and wives and all that, so you better behave yourselves. Okay. Now my last 3 or 4 points. Today, most governments of the world accept that without gender equality, families, communities, and countries cannot progress. Today, the whole world knows, or should know, unless a woman is free, a man cannot be free. Because men and women are connected. If you have to protect your sister and mother and daughter all your life, how can you be free? If a daughter needs a dowry, who is the one who collects that dowry? Father and brothers. If a daughter has to be found a husband, who has to look and find those husbands? Brothers and husbands, fathers. If a girl is raped, isn't the brother and isn't the husband and isn't the father affected? So friends, this is absolute nonsense that gender equality is a fight between men and women. Not at all. Gender equality is not a fight between men and women. It is a fight between two mindsets, between two ideologies. On the one side is patriarchy, and the other side is equality. And on both sides, there are men and women. There are women who are pro-patriarchy and there are men who are pro-equality. And friends, just think in your head, you can't tell me, but just think the opposite of patriarchy. If I'm there with you, normally everybody would shout, the opposite of patriarchy is matriarchy. 100% wrong. The opposite of malaria is not pneumonia. The opposite of malaria is good health. So the opposite of patriarchy is equality. And we are asking only for equality. So now, my last topic is this dangerous word called feminism. Ooh, feminism. The dirty, dangerous word and dirty, dangerous women who are feminists. Unfortunately for you, if you are not happy with feminists, I am a feminist. The only ideology which was created to fight patriarchy is feminism. No other ideology was created to fight patriarchy. Marxism was created to fight class. Dalitism against caste. Every other ism was either for democracy outside, for socialism outside. The only ideology which fights patriarchy is feminism. The word feminism comes from a French word called femme, which means woman. In Hindi, we call it Narivad. Why? Because it looks at the world through women's eyes. But is that not unfair that we look at the world through women's eyes? I think it is not unfair because the world has been looked only from men's eyes. All the books, all the religions, all the laws were created by men, for men, with that perspective. So, Dalitism is to look at the world also through the Dalit eyes because the whole world has been defined by Brahmins. Similarly, blacks and whites. So that is why the word feminism, and always you give an ideology a name of the people who are oppressed. So you call Dalitism. India was fighting for its independence. We said Indian freedom movement. We didn't say global freedom movement. Student movement, Dalit movement, women's movement. Who is the one who is oppressed? Women. That is why. And we will be very happy the day patriarchy will be gone, because that day feminism will go. We will not need it. The day Brahmanism will go, we will not need Dalitism. We will disappear. The day the white hegemony in the US will go, the black movement should disappear. The black movement exists because of the exploitation and colonization by the white. So feminism exists because of patriarchy and our oppression. Friends, according to me, there is no one feminism. There are feminisms. There is Dalit feminism, there is black feminism, there is Gandhian feminism, there is ecological feminism, feminism for a rural woman that can be different, feminism for an upper class woman like me can be different. So this is what feminism is. Many feminists, and I'm one of them, believe that patriarchy is closely related to caste and class and race. And we believe that patriarchy cannot be removed unless caste is removed, and caste cannot be removed unless patriarchy is removed. They are interlinked. Class also, race also. We call it now, we have a long word called intersectional. So many feminists are today intersectional. I'm not just a woman friend. And all of you are sitting in this lockdown when 80% of Indians are sitting maybe without food because they haven't had a job for 4 months. You and I, salaried people, are sitting in our air-conditioned rooms or with our fan-running rooms and having these webinars. We are the 10% of Indians sitting on the labor of the 90% Indians. So I'm not just a woman. What the Dalit woman is going through now, what a working class woman is going through now, I am not going through. And sometimes I, as a woman, exploit other women, the maidservants at home. So intersectional feminism, where we talk against all systems of oppression. To be a feminist, you do not have to join a movement or be a professor in the Women's Studies department in Trichy. You can be a housewife. You can be a male farmer and be a feminist. Yes, men can be feminists. Anyone who fights patriarchy can be a feminist. Buddha, according to me, Prophet Muhammad, according to me, were feminists. They fought against patriarchy. So only women, and women can be anti-feminist. And my God, don't we know them all? So, a housewife, a man, a father can be a feminist if he brings his children with equality, if he gives equal opportunities to his children, equal property to his children, who doesn't use horrible 4-letter words, mother this and sister this and maki and behenki. And if he doesn't sing those horrible Bollywood songs, and if he doesn't do Me Too to girls, yeah, he can be a feminist. And if he identifies intelligent, bright women in his university, supports them, helps them. Some people say feminism is Western. Those people who say it, I feel, suffer from an inferiority complex, and they don't know their own history. When the Buddha was giving equal rights to women to get into the Sangha, where was the West? America is 500 years old. When the Prophet was giving those rights to women, where was the West? So this is absolute nonsense that everything sensible comes from the West. Look at racism in the West. Look at Mr. Trump in the West. Look at pornography in the West. So, I mean, people who suffer and whose only dream is to get a green card and go to America might think feminism is Western. Which book did Mirabai read? Which book did Akka Mahadevi read on feminism before they all became feminists? You don't have to read a book, friends. You have to read life to be a feminist. No woman has to be taught when a husband slaps her that she's being insulted. No man has to be told when his professor insults him He recognizes insult. And so we women recognize insult. We recognize oppression. We recognize inequality. And I think the first feminist must have been born the day patriarchy was created. Counter comes as soon as an oppressive sister comes. So, friends, but I want to tell people who may not be feminists yet that please, if you are not a feminist, think many times before you become one, because feminism is the most dangerous ism going. This is the only ism which enters your family. No other ism. You can be a Marxist outside and a landlord in the house. You can be a Democrat outside and a horrible fascist inside. This is the only ism which walks into your bedroom and wonders whether this was sex or was it marital rape. Feminism is the only one which makes you question your brother when he walks away with the family property, which questions your brother who comes shouting, "Hey, where is my tea? Where is my coffee? Where is my food?" Get lost, fellow. When did you make food last for your sister or for your mother? When did you last wash their clothes that you are shouting at them? Your clothes are not clean. No other ism comes and asks these difficult questions. And feminism questions everything. And the first person it questions is me. Kamla, how are you dressed? Kamla, how do you treat the maidservant? Kamla, are you using your feminine tricks to trick the professor? Kamla, do you look the other side when you are in a restaurant with your boyfriend and you want him to pay the bill each time? Because he's a man, he should pay every bill of yours. Get lost, woman. If you can't pay the bill, don't go out with him. So, feminism questions everything. It questions me, it questions my family, questions religion. It questions education, which is totally patriarchal. It questions university systems. It questions legalities. It questions the state. And that is why everybody hates feminists. So I'm not surprised if people hate us, if they don't want to understand us. I mean, I can understand that. I know why they don't. So friends, last point, and I'm also nearing my time. For me, feminism is to change the world, to make our families very beautiful, because only equal families can be beautiful. Families where daughters don't get properties cannot be beautiful, cannot be just, cannot be nice. Women, if they are not respected by their partners, cannot be happy. And if the family is not beautiful, no human being will be beautiful. And that's what is happening in the world. In the family, we teach all inequalities: patriarchal inequality, caste inequality, class inequality, race inequality. So family is a place of filthy place of inequality. It is a school of inequality, of prejudices, of biases. So, feminism exists to make our families, our societies, and our countries equal. It is a place to make men beautiful. And beauty is in your heart, not in your muscles, not in your six packs, not even in your purse or in your bank account. Beauty is in your heart, in your personality. So feminism will make a man and a woman more equal, more just, more giving, more loving. My feminism has two more essentials. My feminism must have humor. If there is no place for humor in my feminism, I won't join. My feminism should have place for singing and dancing. I don't like serious stuff. And my feminism must have love, love, and love. I think today the biggest problem in the world is too much hate and all kinds of hate. So these are additional qualities of my feminism. Humor, music, dance, and love. And I believe the world will change not through women's studies departments. The world will change if all of you become part of the women's movement and join campaigns. Campaigns change the world, not your degrees which you will get from these departments and your certificates. I'm part of 4 campaigns, and I was very happy to hear when Mani said that you are part of, many of you are doing 1 billion rising. This is a global campaign going on in 207 countries of the world against violence against women. 1 billion rising. 1 billion women and girls face violence. And this campaign called 1 billion rising says 1 billion people should rise and say no more. No more violence. I'm part of another campaign called Property for Her. In Hindi, we have a slogan, Beti Dil Mein, Beti Will Mein. If you love your daughter, put her name in your will for your property. Beti Dil Mein, Beti Will Mein. Another campaign, household work is everyone's work. माँ का ही क्यों लेते नाम, घर का काम है सबका काम. And the 4th campaign is where we question our festivals. Like tomorrow is Raksha Bandhan. We have started saying Rakhi for equality, Samanta ka Bandhan. We are inviting brothers to tie Rakhis to their sisters, who also protects them all the time. And sisters tying Rakhi to their brothers, and sister promising all support to their brothers. Similarly, cremating our parents. I gave fire to my mother's at my mother's cremation 20 years ago. So changing every custom, be it Hindu, Christian, Muslim, or secular, and making them equal. Never allowing a girl to feel a second-class citizen. Never allow your sister to feel you are superior because you are a boy. Superior are those who love. Superior are those who believe in equality. So friends, I thank you very much. You have been wonderful. I'm sorry we were not to one space. So thank you very much. And Mani, please come back.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a mind-blowing session. Participants, do you have any queries?
Madam, I would like to spellbound and speechless. Basically, without women, men would have been more uncivilized and barbaric. In our family, all the 6 cousins, we don't have any girl child. My wife always, often she says, we should have a small girl child to celebrate the festivals. Now, nobody comes to our house. My wife is telling, tomorrow I will tie the Rakhi to you and I will be tying Rakhi to her. Thank you, madam. She is listening every day. My wife is listening. Today she has been inspired very much. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank you very much.
That is wonderful, Dr. Gopal Singh.
Thank you very much.
There are some questions, Neela. You can refer the
Yes,
chat
ma'am.
box and yeah.
Yes. Shall I read the question, ma'am?
Yeah, Neela, please also, if you have the name of the person who asked.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is a question raised by Gaurav Singh. Can you please comment on the present scenario of women's and gender studies in India and the global context? The rampant marginalization, eradication, silencing, closing of, and withdrawal of allocation of funds to women studies centers, departments, and the ways of dealing with this for women studies scholars.
Okay, Mr. Singh, I said right in the beginning, I am not a scholar. I have never taught, and I'm talking about your women's studies centers, etc. I am an activist. I'm on the ground. So I'm sorry I can't answer this. But I cannot be surprised because of the kind of governments we have, because of the kind of policies which we have. Everything is against equality, so I will not be surprised if they are cutting down the resources of Women's Studies Department. That will be the most unfortunate thing to do. It took centuries for Women's Studies departments to be created. And Women's Studies departments were created because of the women's movement. So if you have to thank anybody for Women's Studies department, please thank scholars who were activists, like Professor Veena Majumdar, and thousands, hundreds of professors like that who fought for this department. And if they are going, it tells you that our governments don't want equality of any kind, whether it is Dalit, Brahmin, women, men, and race. I'm sorry, I don't know the inner functioning of women's studies departments. So sorry. Yeah, Neela, next.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. This is a question by Swapna. Swapna, ma'am. Kamala, ma'am, what's your message to the younger feminists today? What should be our key strategy to annihilate patriarchy?
Swapna, if you did not get my message in the last 60 minutes, how will you get it in the next half a minute? I thought everything I said was a message. So other than that, I really don't have a message. I have said everything I had to say to do, that degrees are not enough. We need to change the world. And that is why we take degrees. We have to believe in love and not hatred. Both women and men have to believe in equality. Women, if they want their rights, they have to first do their duties also. So I think everything I had to say, I have said in 60 minutes. And I'm not a guru, so last minute I will give a message. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question, ma'am. This is a question by Pooja Patacharya. Ma'am, we like the girls are cooking, boys playing. What about you say, ma'am?
Neela, you have to repeat the question because it was breaking in between.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Question raised by Pooja Patacharya. We look the same in the textbook, also present as the same way, like the girls are cooking, boy playing. What about you say, ma'am?
No, Pooja, I mean, who writes books? People who are themselves patriarchal are writing these books. And I remember that in Delhi, in 1984, we started a committee on the portrayal of women in the media. And we considered textbooks also one kind of medium. And we looked at these textbooks And they were all patriarchal in every way. Because the writers are patriarchal. But if you compare the books between 84 and today, if you look at the NCRT books, etc., a lot of changes have come, and we have to keep pushing for these changes. But I mean, definitely there is patriarchy still in our textbooks, in our television programs, in our newspapers, in the way you and I talk, in the way you and I dress. I mean, there's patriarchy everywhere. In the thali we women use in the South, everywhere. So textbooks also. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question by Gagandeep Kaur.
Yeah.
If the boyfriend touch his girlfriend without her consent, what do you think is this considered as rape?
I think he should find out the definition of rape. If he was sitting next to me and asking me a question and touched me, I would never call it a rape. So definitely it is not rape. And if he is actually a boyfriend, then I don't understand why his touching can be a rape. I mean, if he's a boyfriend, I'm sure he can at least touch her. If he's a friend, forget about boyfriend. I mean, I hug when I meet people, men or women. I don't make a difference whom I hug. I hug everybody I like. So I look at human beings as human beings first. And then I think what they are, who they are. So definitely, this is not rape. But the girlfriend says, I do not want any kind of physical touch. If he does it, whether it is rape or not, it is harassment, crime today, and it should not take place. Whether a girlfriend, but a girlfriend can also do the same. If a boy says, I don't want it, she should not do it. So I'm not one of those who will keep on talking about only girlfriends. I mean, girlfriends can do things wrong, boyfriends can do things wrong. So anything without the consent by anybody is wrong. You know, sometimes when we meet a child and the child is really nice and go and we pinch their cheeks. My God, I used to hate every adult who did this to me. Hello, beta. I used to feel like, taking their things and putting them. You don't know me. I mean, who the hell are you to touch me? Hello, beta. How are you? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Neela, there are a couple of questions by Harish and one more by him.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam,
Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am. Good
Neela,
afternoon,
madam.
ma'am.
Sorry to the ma'am. I am Brinda, madam. Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
Carry
ma'am.
on,
You are audible.
Brinda.
Madam, good afternoon, madam. What you said for this 1 hour really excellent and true, madam. All the facts you have mentioned, but
Ma'am,
still
your voice
in the
is
present
breaking.
situation. Hello, ma'am. Now it is audible.
Yes, no, ma'am. Your voice is breaking, ma'am.
I think you should just read out the questions, please. It will be very difficult if everyone now starts asking questions directly. So please read the questions you have and finish them. Because they will be very
ma'am. I will be.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Another question, ma'am. This is the question by Saraswati Chukla, Pondicherry University. Ma'am, what are the solutions for constitutional differences between sexes which are forced to follow by every citizen? Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for such a reformative session. My parents and whole family was listening to you. Glad to hear you. Saraswati Chukla from Pondicherry University.
Thank you, Saraswati. I mean, if there are constitutional differences, then they will be changed by the constitution makers, which is our members of parliament. But members of parliament will only change if there is a movement asking for change. And I'm one of those people who feels that most of the changes in the world, if not all, happen by movements. By movement, working class movement, Dalit movement, freedom movements of countries, women's movement. So I believe that any kind of change will come if we organize. The governments will change only if they think Thank you.
मैम
Thank you, ma'am.
मैम मैं हिंदी मीडियम से
Please come through Neela, no direct
No, please,
questions.
please, yeah. Otherwise, it will be disorganized, please.
No, can't do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Send her a question, we'll do it.
Shall I
otherwise.
read the question, ma'am? Shall I read the
Go ahead.
question, ma'am?
Yes, Neela,
Yes,
please.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is the question by Akshita. How do we change the undue burden on women inside the house when they themselves think it's their duty and resist and change, and fathers don't have any emotive for change?
As I said,
Others, mute your mic. Others, please mute your microphone.
We are attending the questions there on the chat box. So please stay back.
So Akshita, as I said, you are saying the same thing, that women are also patriarchal. Many women think that all the household work is there. In many of my workshops, men say, can you please mute your mics?
I removed, ma'am. You can proceed, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
In many of the workshops, women say, oh, my husband is very kind, very helpful. He takes my child to the school. So I asked that lady, oh, he takes your child. This child is not your husband's child. You brought it in the dowry. I mean, what is this nonsense? My husband helps me cook. Why does he not eat? Why does he help you cook? He eats. So cooking, 50% cooking is his responsibility. He makes, I'm very happy he makes beds. Why? He sleeps on the bed, no? So household work is everyone's work. But if it is only the man who earns money, then I can imagine that he cannot do as much work because his wife is full-time at home. So there will be a difference. But at least on the weekend. And friends, I am not bothered about that men should do same amount of work. What I am bothered about is that I believe that cooking for others is something very beautiful. That looking after others is something very beautiful. Serving others is something very beautiful. So I want men also to experience this beauty. How nice it is when your mother cooks for you. And imagine how wonderful it will be if a son cooks for his mother tonight. Go home and cook for your mother. Tell her to sit for a while. So I believe the best way for anyone to become human, to become loving, is to do household work. for anyone, women or men. And I believe, not only I, the whole world believes today, unless care work, today we call household work care work, unless care work is everyone's work, women can never be free. If you women who are teaching in universities have to do all the work at home, how can you ever compete with your men in the faculty? You can't do it, because they have wives sitting at home doing all their work. You don't have anyone. So I feel this is the biggest change necessary all over the world. This is the biggest change, where care work becomes everybody's work, where boys and girls both are taught by us how to cook, because both eat. Where boys and girls both taught how to clean the house, because everybody needs clean houses, etc., etc. So I believe this is the biggest area of work for all of us to engage in. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Another
Kamla,
question, ma'am.
sorry,
Shall I read,
Kamla,
ma'am?
Mangai is there. Sorry. Mangai is also there, and she just
Hi,
conveyed
Mangai.
her wishes.
Hey, salam, Mangai. Yes, it's 4 o'clock.
Ma'am, participants asking, please sing a song, ma'am.
I mean, if we were together, I would have sung a song. But as Mani said, I make noise. I don't sing. No, Mani, I only make noise.
No, you sing also. You sing also.
I chant slogans like that Azadi slogan, but we can't do it here. So next, when you invite me to Trichy, and we will chant slogans, and all the men in the faculty will cook for me and feed me.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are many questions, Kamla. We will share it in the YouTube because we cannot answer now, because many important questions are.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, Neela, we will share the questions also to Kamla.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay,
Now,
a
formal vote of thanks from Neela. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Neela.
Hello, ma'am.
Can you make it informal vote of thanks? I don't like formality.
Oh, there are a lot of appreciation in the chat box, ma'am. Shall I read it, ma'am?
That's up
Wonderful session, ma'am, by Anwara. What a nice thought. There are a lot of appreciation. I just love today's session by Balobi Sarkar. There are a lot of appreciation, ma'am. I'm reading one by one, ma'am.
No, Neela, you don't have to read. Come on,
it will all go, so we can thank. Yeah.
Don't embarrass.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wonderful as always, ma'am.
Thank you.
Kamala ji, inspiring as always. So lovely to hear and see you in these dark times. Take care. Happy rocking.
Happy equal Rakhi. Equality wali Rakhi.
Yeah, that is from Mangai. Okay. Okay.
Ma'am had your live session for the first time. My deepest of regards. Beautiful session, awesome session, really fantastic and excellent session, ma'am. Thank you very much for the informative and insightful presentation, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for a very interesting session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent session, ma'am. One Ghana, ma'am. One Ghana song, ma'am.
Tamil பாடு
Excellent.
Tamil
Pada. I think you can also sing. This whoever is asking. Okay. I think we can close.
Yeah.
Can we
Thank you
close?
very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Kamla,
Thank you.
for all your time.
Thank you,
It's
ma'am.
a long time you have spared. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.